and many thanks for joining us. I am Ansumani Esonyasi and this is QTV News coming to you live from our studios on Caraba Avenue. Here are the main news headlines. In the case between the state and Boubacar Keita, the High Court of the Gambia has dismissed a motion by the Defense Council which sought to set aside the stay execution of the court's ruling of July 7th. The National Environment Agency and the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources are spearheading a national dialogue on seeking sustainable solutions for waste management in the Gambia. And the University of the Gambia began a two-day stakeholder consultation on Tuesday on a project called the Gambia Research Ethics and Methodology Training Initiative. The ECOWAS mission in the Gambia and the ECOWAS Ambassador Solidarity Forum, comprised of diplomats, embarked on nationwide border visits. And in sports news, South Africa, as they broke Moroccan hearts with a 2-1 triumph in the final of the African Women's Nations Cup, if you like, WAFCON, over the weekend. We look at their triumphant homecoming. Well, stay tuned as we bring you more on these and other stories. And we now take a look at the news in detail. In the case between the state and Boubacar Keita, the High Court of the Gambia has dismissed a motion by the Defense Council which sought to set aside and stay execution of the court's ruling of July 7th. The High Court judge ruled this application by the defense an abuse of process and that DNA examination should proceed accordingly. Mawla Michoy reports.
The High Court rules in favor of the state, giving it the green light to proceed with DNA examination for submission as evidence in this alleged rape trial. The trial judge, Mamadou S.M. Jallo, has adopted the Principal State Council's affidavit in opposition to the motion of the defense. The affidavit in opposition is adopted together with the request letters attached to it, which the state had submitted to the court as having been sent to the defense for conduct of DNA examination. The State Council had accused the defense of not honoring the request for DNA samples in April and June last year. The state's argument and submission in this regard is that the motion to set aside the court's order for DNA examination is a waste of time and an abuse of court process. In agreement with this argument and submission by the state in its affidavit in opposition, the trial judge has ruled against the motion by the defense. The High Court judge, Justice Mamadou S.M. Jallo, stated that his order of the 7th of July, quote, required strict compliance by both parties to ensure that an expediting of the hearing is not compromised, end of quote. The ruling also emphasizes that the state is charged with the responsibility to supervise and coordinate the DNA examination, with which the defense is required to cooperate to ensure that the requirement is met on time. In concluding his ruling, Justice Jallo states that for transparency, authorities will extract DNA from the late baby Mohammed in the presence of the concerned parties. In addition, the judge urges the state to make sure all DNA samples are completed before the next hearing to be admitted as evidence subject to cross-examination by the defense. The judge reminds the court that the High Court will be on 2 months vacation later this week. In reaction, the defense lawyer Lamin S. Kamara rejected the court's ruling and expressed his intention and right to appeal the decision to the Court of Appeal. Meanwhile, the Principal State Counsel, Patrick Gomez, appreciates the judge's ruling for being timely and arriving at a just conclusion. Previously, the court's ruling of the 7th, 13th and 18th of July this year, as requested by the state, has ordered the accused, the alleged rape victim, the alleged boyfriend of the victim, and the late baby Mohammed be subjected to DNA examination. The state had extracted a blood sample for DNA examination from the late baby Mohammed while he was in coma. This was deemed satisfactory by the trial judge, approving that the samples can be used for evidential purpose. However, in previous hearings, this was challenged by the defense for lack of transparency. In a subsequent hearing, the court had accepted a request by the state for an alternative sample be taken from the late baby Mohammed. This was, however, objected to by the defense. The state is reported to have collected samples from the accused, the alleged boyfriend of the alleged victim, as required by the court's order earlier this month. The trial is adjourned to Wednesday, the 5th of October 2022, which falls after the court's 2-month vacation. Mahmoud Lamin Chai, QTV News.
Now, even to the naked eye, it is clear the Gambia has a serious waste management problem. To address this, the National Environment Agency and the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources are spearheading a national dialogue on seeking sustainable solutions for waste management in the Gambia. Ajibintu Drama tells us more.
The theme for the 2-day national dialogue is participatory approach to waste management. Attended by the Vice President Badara Aliu Juf, the platform brings together stakeholders in the environmental sector to share expertise and devise a roadmap for tackling the problems of waste management in the country.
Of course, we are aware of recent achievements by some municipalities, particularly the KMC with the Operation Ballot. Brikama Area Council is also, had made a lot of strides. This is indeed commendable, and we encourage the leadership of all other councils to devise strategies that are affordable, feasible, implementable in order to tackle head-on waste management issues.
The management of waste is a huge problem in the Gambia, causing enormous damage to both the environment and people. According to a claim by Woima Corporation, a Finnish supplier of waste-to-value products, projects and services worldwide, close to 500 tons of waste is generated and collected every day in just the Greater Banjul area, most of which is collected and taken to a vast, previously unregulated dump in Backwater in Kanifing Municipality. Rohi John Manjang, the Minister of the Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, says a holistic approach by collaborating with stakeholders and the public is essential to address the menace of waste.
My ministry is aware of the urgent need to have a permanent, suitable landfill. Already stakeholders are working on this, but again, commitment is required to facilitate timely finalization of this assignment, owing to the fact that this is a fundamental requirement to achieve a sustainable waste management objective.
Abbas Sanyang, the Minister of Lands and Regional Government, says people's attitude towards the indiscriminate waste dumping must change to contain the management of waste and create a better place for the future generations.
Let's collect waste. Let's attempt to collect all waste. But again, we will end up that aspect by educating the masses. People will be in transport, private, public, every vehicle. They'll be eating anything and dumping it just the way they want. But it is not funny. It's to teach us ourselves to have the discipline of controlling and managing our own waste.
The laws governing the management of waste have been in existence for decades. However, implementation and enforcement of these laws are far from adequate. Dr. Dauda Baji, Executive Director of the NEA, says there must be a stricter approach of implementation to achieve the goals of this convergence.
It's a very complex issue, and it needs funding, it needs the necessary infrastructure. So if you're talking about sustainable waste management, we have to look at other aspects where waste is also beneficial. How can we use those avenues? Like recycling technologies, we are collaborating with other partners who are going to be involved in recycling process.
According to a report in 2021, the Gambia has been tagged as one of the dirtiest countries in Africa. It is common to see pedestrians and passengers of moving cars discard waste in the streets, among other antisocial behavior. To change the narrative, the public must be weaned of the habit of indiscriminate dumping of waste, and thereby a healthy environment for people, animals and plants. Ajibintu Drame, QTV News.
The University of the Gambia began a 2-day stakeholder consultation on Tuesday on the Gambia Research Ethics and Methodology Training Initiatives to inform the development and implementation of the Research Ethics and Methodology Program in the socio-cultural context of the Gambia. Omar Pijalo attended the opening and this is his report.
The aims of the 2-day consultation are to inform important stakeholders of the availability of Research Ethics and Methodology Certificate Program, solicit stakeholders' input to inform the development of program curricula, identify key thematic content area for program curricula in the context of the Gambia socio-cultural realities, and recruit potential candidates for enrollment in the program, from the summer of 2023. The 5-year grant funding is supported by the US-based Fogarty International Center of the National Institute of Health. Dr. Veronica P.S. Njai-Carr, the principal investigator of the Fogarty Grant Award, said the goal of the program, which is supported through funding from the Fogarty International Center, is to develop and strengthen leadership capacity and expertise in research ethics and methodology in the context of the Gambia, adding that the successful implementation of the program will contribute to the Gambia's capacity development efforts and the research enterprise.
So we are hoping that by the end of the first year, we would have completed the courses that we need for the certificate program and then get it through the necessary processes in the university to get it approved so that we can then start in 2023.
Dr. Mohamed Kabir Cham, the registrar at the Medical and Dental Council of the Gambia, gave a brief update on the history of research ethics and methodology in the Gambia.
Ethics will give us the principles to allow us to make decisions, but the core is the moral core, what is morally right and what is morally wrong. And of course, a subset of that is medical ethics, with the principles guiding the behavior, especially of the researchers and also the research participants.
The Vice Chancellor of the University of the Gambia, Dr. Herbert Robinson, said a key pillar of what the UTG is trying to do under his leadership as a quality-first agenda is to strengthen research, as quality research is needed to inform teaching and learning and can enhance the experience of students, adding that quality research is also needed to engage as stakeholders and for community engagement to help our society become better.
But what are we doing as the University of the Gambia to strengthen that research infrastructure? We're doing a number of things. First, we are appointing for the first time a Deputy Vice Chancellor of Research and Innovation, which is a very senior position at the University of Gambia. Secondly, we are strengthening Research and Consultancy Directorate led by Dr. Sanyang, who has been very active in this particular research project.
The COVID-19 pandemic had and continues to have negative global impact, not only in the Gambia. Low and middle-income countries that have weak healthcare systems experience the worst economic and social challenges. Government and public health policy makers must therefore improve the Gambia's healthcare system through the development of human capacity and strengthening of governance structures. One of the important lessons we should learn from the pandemic is that we must strengthen the healthcare system we have to a level that will allow all Gambians to receive quality and safe healthcare. The government recognizes the need to invest heavily in the important sectors for quality healthcare. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
And from that report by Omar P. Jallo, there we go for a commercial break. But when we return, we have more local and sports news stories. Do stay tuned.
As the fastest growing GSM company in the Gambia, QCell has the widest 4G plus coverage in the country, 3 times faster internet speed than our competitors. So switch now and dial *335# and enjoy what true 4G feels like. QCell, Gambia's trusted network. Have you been looking for the perfect indoor router with long-range Wi-Fi coverage and faster internet speed connecting all your smart devices? Well, we present to you the QCell Indoor Router, a router that has all you need and much more. For just $4,275, you can get 4G plus internet speed, wide coverage, and connect up to 15 devices. And that's not all. The indoor router can be used for both office and home needs. So, enhance your internet experience with our indoor router. For more info, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunubus, we innovate, others follow.
Welcome back from that commercial break. We reminded you're following QTV News and we're broadcasting live from our studios on Kairaba Avenue. Now, the ECOWAS mission in the Gambia and the ECOWAS Ambassadors Solidarity Forum, comprised of diplomats, embarked on nationwide border visits. The delegation visited the Sabi border post in URR, and our reporter Alaji A.F. Jallo was there and filed this report.
The diplomats from the ECOWAS mission in the Gambia and the ECOWAS Solidarity Forum on Wednesday visited the Sabi border post to find out on how the materials donated to the border officers impacted on their official functions. Speaking at the border post in Sabi, the ECOWAS representative to the Gambia, Vaba Geflo, raised concern about human trafficking within the sub-region.
Last year, a Liberian girl was trafficked, and I got a call that she was here, and we were trying to find her. She only managed to run away after they had used her for almost 4 months. To end up in a Gambian home. So Interpol, you have a lot of work to do around here. Because I'm sure if all of those processes were working, we'll be able to nab these people. But a lot is going wrong with our children and citizens of the sub-region. And I'm sure many times you are invited to workshops, you participate in some of these stakeholders meetings and gatherings. I beg you take these processes serious.
Senegal's ambassador to the Gambia, Basir Hussein, applauded the relationship between the Gambia and Senegal.
I am very, very proud and grateful for this, because there is so many Senegalese here in the Gambia. If they were in difficult situation, it will be very difficult for my job. But it is easy for me to work here because there is hostility and understanding between my community and Gambian community.
Ambassador Sen responded to my question about the ECOWAS protocol on free movement of goods and people.
It is only to implement the protocol. The ECOWAS protocol is very clear. The free movement is on our paper. It is signed in our papers. So we must implement it only. It is a matter of implementation. But our two government, our two head of state, within the there is a mechanism between the presidential council. They decide in Dakar to free this movement. They decide to open the borders. But at the implementation, there is a problem within the officers implementing. It is only that.
The Senegalese diplomat made special appeals to ECOWAS citizens.
My message is now we are facing so many difficulties in the world. There is terrorism, there is drug trafficking, there is human trafficking. There is so many challenges in our heads. So we don't have time to have war between us. We must go to cordiality, to friendship, to take our hand, shake our hand together, and to remain together, being together.
The high-powered delegation include the chairperson of the ECOWAS Ambassadors Solidarity Forum and Sierra Leone's High Commissioner to the Gambia, Lucretia M. Sharif, Nigeria's High Commissioner to the Gambia, Mohamed Manu, and other diplomats from ECOWAS member states. The aim of ECOWAS is to have a borderless ECOWAS region where citizens can move freely to any country as enshrined in the 1978 ECOWAS Protocol. Currently, that aspiration is far from being realized. Reporting from Sabi Border Post or QTV News, I am Alaji A.F. Jallo.
Now, a 4-day joint annual health sector review of the year 2021 is underway at the Sadauda Conference Center in Bijilo. The high-profile meeting, organized by the Ministry of Health, brought together over 150 participants, including funding partners and health developmental professionals, amongst others. Loliam Kamara has the rest of that story.
The aim of this joint annual health sector review is to bring together all key players from the health sector, funding partners, government institutions, health beneficiary groups and communities, amongst others, to discuss and assess the performances of various health programs areas and devise strategies for policy and planning. Welcoming the participants, the Director of Health Services, Dr. Mustafa Bite, said, "The event is indeed important, considering the programs and activities carried out by the Health Ministry. adding this review will help them take stock of progress made and identify areas they need to adjust. The permanent secretary at the Ministry of Health, Mohammed Jaita, states that the Joint Annual Health Sector Review, commonly called JAR, is significant and highly cherished, as the activity serves as an opportunity for the ministry to interact directly with the widest group of stakeholders on issues of concern to the ministry and the health sector.
Which accords the opportunity to all participants and stakeholders to critique the ministry's past performances with a view to enriching our collective strive for better and improved service delivery, as well as to learn lessons and benefit from professional inputs and recommendations.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmadou Lamine Samate, while commending the government for the enabling environment given to the health sector, said the essence of this meeting is to first recognize the achievements they all made together as a team and to identify the gaps and challenges facing the health ministry.
The essence is to come together because, as we say, we all want to win, and we need to win because the people of this country deserve the best. There are resource challenges, there have been resource challenges, even the advanced countries have resource challenges, but with an accountable system, with a system that's geared towards success, with a system that's geared towards giving the best to our citizenry, we can win. And of course with the support of partners. So equally speaking, the partners are here. They can look at the gaps where they think we can make progress. And equally, we may also have challenges when it comes to the partnerships. And we shouldn't shy away from making those, identifying those gaps and making it clear to the partners.
Dr. Desta A. Tereni, the WHO country rep, commended the Ministry of Health for successfully organizing of this event to evaluate the progress the health sector made in 2021 following the completion of the 5-year National Strategic Plan. He said even though the activity is important, there are things it can never replace.
However, JAR will never replace the importance of continuous monitoring of the progress of implementation in the health sector. Hence, it complements but should not replace routine monitoring throughout the year, as well as the periodic reviews that are needed at midterm and the end term of the strategic plan.
The outcome of this review will guide and address priorities in achieving strategic objectives set out in the National Health Sector Strategic Plan 2021 to 2025. For QTV News, Slowly M. Kamara.
And now on to some exciting sports news. So it was a case of fifth-time lucky for South Africa as they broke Moroccan hearts with a 2-1 triumph in the final of the Women's African Cup of Nations WAFCON over the weekend. More in this report.
When they took to the pitch in front of a packed stadium, long before the match kicked off, the singing, dancing South African women's team did not have the look of being nervous, overawed or weighed down by history. On the contrary, they appeared to be happy to be there, much to the surprise of the Moroccan fans. Having lost in their previous 4 finals, the South Africans were in no mood to make it fifth time unlucky. A tightly contested first half failed to produce any realistic goal-scoring chances, and it was no surprise the teams went in goalless at half-time. Hilda Magaya scored in the 63rd and 71st minutes to give South Africa control of the game and, seemingly, take the game away from Morocco's reach. Rosella Ayan's 80th minute goal briefly revived the hopes of the home crowd. However, South Africa were not to be denied. At the final whistle, the explosion of joy was obvious and understandable. The coach, Desiree Ellis, former captain of a losing South Africa side in 2000 and again a losing coach in 2018, knew her prayers had finally been answered. 2 days before this final, she had been named African Female Head Coach of the Year at the CAF Awards for the 3rd year in succession. But this really was the big one. Every Banyana player made sure to soak up and revel in the historic moment as they danced on the pitch, ran around or hugged each other. And they achieved it without injured star player Thembi Kgatlana. As they stepped up to collect the trophy and their medals, they knew they were assured of legendary status back home. It was truly a wonderful moment, deserving of the outpouring of unconfined joy. Finally, they were champions of Africa. On the flight home, the players were understandably in a joyous mood. A party was in full swing on the ground at Oliver Tambo Airport. And the mood was even more joyful as an expectant crowd waited for these legends to land. When they burst through the airport and the security cordon, the noise grew ever louder. The co-captains were introduced and they took a bow.
This is Janine van Wyk. What are the chances? Rupi Lejane. And the lady that's got the hands that can save anything, it's Andile Dlamini.
As the first head coach to win this trophy for South Africa, it was the turn of history-making Desiree Ellis to address the crowd.
We had a meeting and I asked them, what are your ambitions? Jermaine Siposen said, we want to win AFCON. I said to Jermaine, first the World Cup qualification. She said, no, if we win AFCON, we qualify for the World Cup period. So they were so confident.
After that, it was back to the party. So, from QTV Gambia, we send our congratulations to Banyana Banyana and commiserations to Morocco's Atlas Lionesses, who at least know they have qualified for the World Cup in Australia, New Zealand. For QTV News, I am Ade Darami.
Why not? Congratulations to the Banyana Banyana, and from the report there by Ade Darami, exciting report for that matter. We draw the curtains on this bulletin. Will you join us at 10 p.m. for another bulletin? Thanks for watching. And that is all we have for you in this edition of the news. Do join us tomorrow for more news. Until then, on behalf of the entire production team, thanks for watching.